Hey, welcome everybody. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We will be talking about one of the most exciting vacations you can ever do, and that is an African safari. And the only thing more exciting than an African safari is to be on that safari with the Kansas City Zoo director, Randy Wisthoff, and his wonderful wife, Barbara, who's the life of the party. I want you to know that we call her the social hostess. So you're going to hear from Randy and Barb in just a minute. And for those of you that tuned in at 6 o'clock, we apologize. We had a double webinar night tonight. We thought Wednesdays were our big webinar nights, but they've become Tuesday, and we didn't have the bandwidth to do two of them, so we had to wait to 7. But this is a better time to do a safari webinar anyway. And I've had the pleasure of working with Randy and Barb for, oh my gosh, I don't know, maybe close to 10 years now doing safaris. And I think we've had literally 100% satisfaction on every safari we've been on. But the one thing I've learned about Randy and Barb is that they don't like to do what the masses do. The masses go to Tanzania and Kenya. And Randy and Barb have graduated from that. They're now into the small boutique, really fabulous places in parts of Africa that you might not know about. So you're going to hear all about that tonight. And when we're done, I'll end it up and I'll tell you how to get flyers or more information. Randy, we've had kind of a crazy year. The whole situation is, you know, we delayed things. So I'm going to turn it over to you and let you tell about the 2020 safari that will be now 2021, along with your second safari in 2021. So Randy, take it away.
Thanks, Mark. You know, you're talking to Mark and I are both pretty much techno nerds. Mark, for part of your intro there, you froze up on my screen, so I'm not sure what the heck you said. So I'll have to fill in the blanks. But we got Nicole there in the sound room trying to keep us on the straight and narrow. Well, we're happy to be able to do these sorts of trips, and I don't know what you said about Botswana, but that was going to be 2020. We actually took 2 groups to Tanzania in 2019. We kind of were going to take a year off from Africa, and we had a number of travelers went with us and had some interest that came into the zoo about would we consider offering a trip for 2020. So Botswana has always been one of our favorite places. And then then this COVID thing hit and all kinds of things hit, and we had to delay a year. Then originally Barb and I had talked for a long time about going back to Zambia in 2021. So here we are with nothing in 2020 again, and looking at 2 safaris in 2021. So my gosh, if they're canceled, I guess 2022 we'll have to do 3 of them. So always Southern Africa is a magical place. And Mark, I've got a cheat sheet here. I had Barb make up a cheat sheet. We've been doing these things a long time, but we actually booked our first tour with you in 2007 when we took a group to the Galapagos, which was great fun, and one of those places an animal lover loves to go. But we've been doing Africa since 1985. And we've taken, I believe Barb reminded me, 12 separate groups on to Africa. This will be 13 and 14. Africa is our all-time favorite place, and Southern Africa is especially magical to both of us. And Botswana, Zambia are wonderful places. And as you say, we do try to get off the beaten path. Most people go on safari, go to Eastern Africa. That's where pretty much everybody knows about the safaris, and awful lot of tourists go there. It's easy to get to and you can always hub through Europe and spend an extra day or two there. It takes a little bit longer to get to Southern Africa. We go down all the way down South Africa through Johannesburg and then fly back up to our country of destination. But when we put the Botswana trip together, we looked at the favorite places. There are, we've been to some of the lodges there all the times that we have gone, and this time's no exception, just because of the variety of the animals and the variety of the habitats that we go see. And we kicked this trip off flying into Joburg. We spend the night, and then the next morning, and Joburg Airport is absolutely, it's a beautiful, wonderful airport. It's absolutely humongous. A lot of trips go through there. So we go into Joburg. The next morning, we jump on a smaller jet, and fly up to Vic Falls, one of the wonders of the world. And it's one of those things, if you're in Southern Africa, you can't miss. Absolutely love going there. Spend that afternoon in Vic Falls, and have a chance to have a nightcap looking at the Zambezi River, which is a pretty gosh darn good place to have a nightcap and a sundowner. And then that next morning, we head out and start on our official safari. We do have some pictures that from that trip that Nicole's going to put on for us now. I think we were there last in 2012, and so we'll just run through some of the pictures, talk about the animals. These are pictures that Barb and I took. Unfortunately, I'm teasing you here. The rhinos, we will not be able to have access to there's a small park at Vic Falls where they have the rhinos. We're not going to be able to make it there. But we do start our adventure out on the Chobe River, a camp we've visited before. Muchenji sits high up on a escarpment, and you look down at the Chobe River, and we spend time down along the river. Botswana is known for the number of elephants they have, so Chobe River is filled with them. We spend a day out on pontoons. We spend time, the bird life there is wonderful. We spend time too, you saw some pretty rustic boats there. We spend time out at the Okavango Delta, and where the water is pristine, clear, beautiful water there. And we spend time in Mokoros, which are what they call a canoe, and you don't have to worry about paddling. They have a guide that's with you that uses a pole and stands in the Mokoro and poles you around. And it's a place that if you literally, if the boat tips over and you start to drown, you just stand up. The water is really shallow and crystal clear, real magical place. Then we're out in the wild, in the parks that we've chosen. Muchenji, we're there a couple nights. We are in Land Rovers. Everybody on our safaris, we keep them small. You have a window seat. You saw the open Land Rovers they have there. The viewing is excellent. We always assure everybody has that right on the edge. So you get to see everything when you're in those vehicles. The animals think you're part of the vehicle. Never had a problem with any safety issues. And it's great fun. We go out early in the morning and then again in the afternoon. Muchenji, we had the opportunity to go on a night drive also, which is a great experience. Go out with spotlights and see what you can find. But in all these African, the water habitats, the crocodiles are sometimes the rock stars, and we see some really big time crocodiles. We see an array of animals. There's a roan antelope there that is pretty rare. You only see them down in Southern Africa, and most people don't get a chance to see that animal, wildebeest. And there they are. We always have a great time from Muchenji. We're going to move to Camp Maremi, which we've stayed at a number of times. We've heard it's been totally remodeled, rehabilitated. We loved it before. We've been there, I think, 2 other times, and we really love it. Love the location. It sits on the edge of the delta, so there are boat trips out if you want, but most of the game viewing there is by Land Rover. I think we spend 3 nights there, and then we head to the Okavango Delta. We get to Machinji. We actually drive there from Livingstone, Zambia, and our drivers from Zambia take us to the border and turn us over to our guides from Botswana. We go through customs there and then head to Machinji in time for lunch that first day, unpack, and then head out on a game drive, spend that time there. Then we go to Maremi. We fly to Camp Maremi, small planes. And after we're done at Maremi, we fly to the Delta and we fly there. And then when we're done at the Delta, we fly back to Maun, I believe. And then from Maun down to Joburg, I believe, or we head down to Cape Town for a trip extension. Cape Town is about a 5-day extension, and we've got a lot of great activities. Most of the group that's going with us is signed up to go to Cape Town. It's one of those cities, most beautiful cities in the world, that we'll spend time up on Table Mountain. We've got a tour booked out to Robben Island, which is where Mandela was imprisoned. Then we spend a day out on a day trip going out to wine country. South African wine is superb and plentiful, and have a great time on a road trip. And then one of the days we go on a peninsula trip, and we head down to see where the Indian Ocean and Atlantic Ocean come together. And then we go in search of where a great site where the black-footed penguins nest. And that's kind of the culmination of our Cape Town extension. The city is still kind of a beautiful old style San Francisco. It's right on the bay. Got a beautiful hotel we stay in, where when you have breakfast in the morning, you look out at the harbor, and many times you see sea lions. That's not unusual. So, Mark, I'm losing my voice here. So if you want to jump back on and talk about a little bit more of the brochure and the details.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. The entire trip you've done before, and the people I remember very vividly that went on that absolutely loved it. From the fact that there's plenty of wildlife. So you're going to see the big 5. You're going to see about everything. We can't guarantee anything, but you will. And the reality is, Randy knows more about wildlife than anybody you probably ever will know. So you get to see all the things you want to see. The camps are small, and Randy, one of the things I was thinking about that we need to make sure people know about is that because Botswana was scheduled for this year, July of this year, and we've just simply moved it or postponed it till July of next year, that we've got everything sold, but I think one or maybe 2 rooms left.
Yeah.
So that's pre-sold, but we do have somebody out of conflict. I know they just couldn't go a wedding or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, and can't go. And so we have literally 1, and it could be 2 rooms available on that. Yeah. And I think you have a maximum on that, Randy, don't you, of 15 people total, if I remember right. And on the Zambia trip, it's going to be less than that.
Yeah, Botswana, we're capped at 18. And the driver on some of this, Mark, is the size of the camps, which in Botswana on this trip, it's we've got the camps are big enough to hold 18 people, but not much bigger than that. All 3 camps we're in, they might hold 20, 24 people total. So we pretty much own the camps, which is I think one of the really most fun things about our trips. The driver on to have 18 people is so that we get 3 Land Rovers and everybody has a window seat, and that is so important. So that is the ultimate experience. And when you're there and you're out there, you see people piled in 3 across, and you go, oh my gosh, that person in the middle can't see. And we do not do trips that way. But the camps are small, they're intimate, they're great fun. The camp staffs are superb. Botswana, they do have a camp competition for the which is cherished to get these plaques that say they're the camp of the year. They've got the best food, they've got the best camp staff, they have the best campfire program. So you're just amazed at how nice and sweet all of the help is. And after you sit by that campfire at night, try a little bit of that South African wine or the African beer, you find yourself dancing and singing the night away, looking at the Milky Way. Not a light in sight. That's it's campfires and lanterns, and a really great experience. And all three of the camps we're in Botswana are that way. And then the Alfred and Victoria Hotel in Cape Town, it's not a big grand hotel. It's, I don't know, 5-6 stories tall, but it seems very intimate in the dining room, and at night becomes the bar. Is a wonderful place to sit and relax.
Yeah, right on the waterfront down there. It
Yes,
reminds me
yeah,
a little bit
yeah.
of a very, very even more scenic San Francisco with Tabletop Mountain and all of that. There's so much history there.
Yeah, and all around that area, that harbor around the hotel is walkable. It's safe. There's all kinds of shops, restaurants, bars. One of the biggest malls we've ever been in, I think, is about a block and a half, 2-block walk from the hotel. And they've got an enormous bookstore. And Barb is an avid reader, and she always tries to go to bookstores in foreign countries and see if she can find an author. She loves murder mysteries, and so she always heads to the mystery aisle, and she's found some great African authors and been turned on to some new ways to look at murder, Africa style. But don't worry, you're all safe.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of that, I love the line on a couple of our presentations you have, is how important it is to stick together as a group and do what you're told on these safaris, because if you get out of the Land Rover without authorization, you've just become part of the food chain. So
Yeah.
you don't want to do that. But Randy, those are the type of things you go over, don't you? And you go over the
Yes.
culture down there, and you go over how much of this, all of your safaris, you want to be all inclusive. So this is a totally inclusive package, including gratuities.
Yes, we put in gratuities. We hate to have people have to get in their pockets for anything once these trips aren't inexpensive by any means, but after you pay your airfare and write your check to Mark, it's the tips are included, the house drinks are included, beer, wine, local spirits. If you want a premium pour, that will cost you extra. Mm-hmm. But other than that, the drinks are free, all the meals, the guide service, tipping of the guides is included, laundry, the camps all do laundry. You have to pack really light because you're on a small plane, mm-hmm. But we give you lists on what to pack, how to pack, when to pack, everything, and then tips on what you need to take for toiletries and that sort of thing. And Botswana, I don't even know if I mentioned this to the first the group that's already booked, but the first camp we're at, Machinji, has a program where they support local schools. So they encourage, and that's our first stop, they encourage people to bring over school supplies to give to the local schools. Funding in their schools is tougher than it is here. So we usually get lists of things they need: pencils, crayons, paper, anything and everything that's school supplies. We've taken soccer balls, pumps, anything that they may not have access to. That always goes over really big.
And we'll go over all of that in the document party that we do.
Yes,
but
yes, we do.
Hey, Nicole, if you're there, let's go ahead and go to the Zambia safari, and then we will talk further about all those details of both safaris after you're done. Randy, go ahead.
Well, yeah, Nicole, hang on just a minute on the slides. If you can. Yeah, thank you, thank you. So Zambia is a bit different, and how we're going to meld the two trips together is on the Botswana trip, the Cape Town extension is at the end of the trip. On the Zambia trip, Cape Town is the option that you would take at the beginning, that both groups would meet up. That's easy to do. We're in buses to go everywhere, and having, if everybody wanted to go, it'd be no problem. So that's our offering there. But then when we actually, if people don't want to go to Cape Town, have no interest in that, what we'll do is meet up with them at the hotel in Johannesburg. When your plane arrives, you'll be picked up. Both groups will, taken to the big hotel there. It's very handy, real easy, 5-minute drive from the airport. Most of the planes land about 5:30 if you're coming from the States, and you go to the hotel there, but you're picked up, and then the itinerary kicks off kind of the same way. We head up to Vic Falls. On the Zambia trip, because of timing, we put this together. Really, we built the itinerary around the places we wanted to go. But Mark, you know that with everybody canceling Africa for 2020, there was a land rush, a hotel rush to book rooms. And so we, your staff and our contact overseas, worked your rear ends off on getting us rooms. But one of the things we ended up having to do was stay at Vic Falls an extra night. There was no way around that because of the availability of camps. So we're in Vic Falls one extra night there. And on that trip, we will have the opportunity to go out and see the rhinos. They used to be native there. Rhinos are getting rarer and rarer in Africa. They're being poached out still in great numbers, but there's been some relocation programs, and there's a few white rhinos that have been relocated up to a small national park. I think, I don't know my directions when I get there. I think it's a little south of Livingstone. And we'll be able to go to the national park that day, looking for the rhinos. And that going to that park, to experience the rhinos, they actually let you get out of the vehicles. It's safe. We've done it. And you walk with a guide, armed guard, and he's there to protect those rhinos. So
Not you, huh?
He's got a gun, but he's there to protect the rhinos. And it's a great experience, and it's unbelievable to get out of a vehicle in a place and be next to an animal that's that massive, but yet very gentle. Rhinos charge, yes, but it's usually when they get spooked or they feel danger. And these guards are with them all the time. They're very habituated to having people around, but they sell that opportunity. It's added into this trip. That fee to get in that park is not cheap, but that money goes to supporting those guards that are protecting the rhinos. But then there, we don't drive to Zambia when we leave Vic Falls. We head on by plane up to Zambia, to Lusaka. And Nicole, if you want to go ahead and kick that on. Sorry for the delay. We had, I said animals don't charge, but we did, a morning out on a game drive, we found a hippo, and we thought it was pretty interesting because it was fairly late in the morning, later than hippos are usually out. They usually head back to the cool water before the sun comes up high. And we came along across this hippo, and she just decided she wanted absolutely nothing to do with our Land Rover, and let us know that and charged, but it was one of those bluff charges. She just came up running and put the brakes on, threw up a dust cloud. So we, in Zambia, we've chosen 3 camps, 3 our favorite places. We go to Chiawa. That is the one camp in all of Africa. If we had to pick as the last place we ever visited, that would be it. Chiawa, that's on the Zambezi River, the lower Zambezi. We do a conservation program, anti-poaching. The zoo does an anti-poaching program down in that area that we discovered on one of our last trip there. Wonderful place, very similar in some aspects to Botswana, and then very much different too. There you get to all camps by plane. You get out there by plane, but then we do drive between two when we head back to a different camp. On the Zambezi, it's a big meandering river, sand bottom. There's an experience there where we go on a canoe trip down a channel. If you want to, that option is there. They have a lot of activities. But canoeing there, a guide is with you, but the only thing you have to be aware of is the elephant herds that come down for watering. There you see the lovely and vivacious Barb in the canoe on the left side in her best safari wear. And you just float down, pretty much float. You go with the current and float down. And well, I think my gosh, we saw easily on that canoe trip 200 or more elephants, and we had to wait for all of them. We caught this little male that found himself a mud bath, and we sat and watched him for 5 or 10 minutes. Bird life is amazing. I know a lot of people that join us on safaris. That's a crocodile jumping in the water. A lot of people that join us on safaris, they start out not particularly interested in seeing birds. They want to see the big mega mammals, which we facilitate. But then an awful lot of people become bird lovers because of the variety and just the amazing colors and some of the most. Nicole, if you want to put the other one, if that one's done, if you want to put that other one on. These are just slides that we took in 2016, last time we were there. So from Chiawa, I think we're there 3 nights. Then we head to Lion Camp, which is in the South Luangwa National Park. We get there by air. Amazing place. There is a resident pride of lions that's called the Hollywood Pride. They have been studied and watched a lot. And there's a couple of those animals have radio collars on them, so the researchers can find them. But the guides work real hard at finding the pride, and you know, the 99% chance we'll find the Hollywood pride. There's 13 animals in that pride, and we actually saw them late afternoon. We went out, we found them, and they were all sleeping. We had some shots in there of sleeping lions, and that's who those animals were. And they got up and took off one at a time, and we followed them, and we followed them, and they found a lone Cape buffalo that we witnessed a hunt and a kill, which was it was incredible, absolutely incredible. We saw lots of leopards. Opportunity in both countries to see wild dogs. Last time we were in Zambia, we didn't see them. Last time we were in Botswana, we did see them. So it's always just the luck of going out on safari. The guides work really hard at tracking. You'll learn how to do some tracking from a Land Rover. We spend 3 nights at Lion Camp, I believe, and we're out a lot. I mentioned typical day. We get up at early in the morning and before sunrise, actually, and so that we can get out into the parks when the animals are most active, and that's at dawn and dusk. We go out early, stay out most of the morning. We stop for coffee and snacks mid-morning. We end up back at our camp in time for a later lunch. Pardon me. a later lunch, which is, and I do tell everybody that goes on safari, don't wear that. That's a honey badger there. Really rare sighting. Egyptian geese. If your pants fit tight when you leave town, you won't get in them by the time you get home. So we don't recommend tight fitting clothing. We come back for lunch and little siesta time, your own personal time, take a nap, whatever, sort your laundry, write in your journal. And then about 3:30, we meet for high tea. There's still that British influence. We meet for tea or coffee or a drink or whatever you want. We head out on a game drive and we end up, we'll find stuff. We never know quite what, but we'll find stuff. There's part of the Hollywood pride. And then we always stop for a sundowner. Some of the sundown pictures you've seen are taken when we've had a glass of wine, a drink, some snacks. Just absolutely nothing like an African sunset. For some reason, it's always orange, absolutely incredible. And if we're in a boat, there's one right there. If we're in a boat in the Delta, we'll stop. We'll hopefully be on a boat in, there's some of that South African wine. There's our planes that we fly in Zambia. So we're in Lion Camp for 3 nights, and then by vehicle, we'll transfer to Puku Ridge. Puku Ridge is a new camp for us. It's in an area of national park that the camp that we had requested had been purchased and is undergoing renovation. And so we're staying at Puku Ridge, and it is a gorgeous facility, and it's owned by the people now that own Camp Chiawa, and some of the best service you'll ever receive, and how you're treated. Barb was fishing there. She did a little fishing in the Zambezi River. Lucky for her, she didn't catch anything, because I'm not sure what she would have done had she caught a fish. We just had great fun, great food, a great conversation. We always end the evening after dinner. We come back after that sundowner. Hang on those, if you will, just a little bit, Nicole, if you can. We come back for after the sundowner. You get just a few minutes to run to your room, to throw your gear, wash your face if you want. That's about it. Then you come back down to the dinner site, and we have a pre-dinner aperitif. Then we go have dinner, which is a production unto itself, multi-course, wonderful conversation. Our group will pretty much be the camps in these places. So they find the most beautiful spots to have dinner. That's at Chiawa, looking out at the Zambezi River. Not a bad place to have dinner. And then after dinner, there's always that campfire going. We go out and sit and look at the stars. And if you're an avid star watcher, there's always somebody in camp that knows the constellations, which is always fun to look at them in the southern hemisphere. And for all of us old timers born in the 60s, we always sing the Southern Cross, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young when we find it. We always seem to find it if we look hard enough. But we go to Puka Ridge. We end up, yeah, you can go ahead. That's Chiawa there. I think we started with Chiawa we'll go through this one a couple times. That's a room at Chiawa. They've remodeled all their tents, so everything looks out. There's a view everywhere. You look out towards the river from all the camps. That's next to their little swimming pool. This is this we don't want anybody to get used to this. This is the hotel that's in Johannesburg. It's a big hotel. It's a casino attached to it. Don't go there. We don't want you to lose your souvenir money. And the pools, that's way too much luxury for a safari goer. This is Puku Ridge. They are really great salespeople here. They show this. They've got 8 rooms, We've got 7 of them. And the room they keep showing here was their honeymoon suite, the star suite, which is unbelievable. This is back to Chiawa. That's what your room is. That it opens up to look out on the Zambezi River. That's the commons area, that thatched roof. That's where you go for. That's where the bar is, and big comfortable seating if you want to go down there and read. Chiawa, now some of these camps, I believe they all have Wi-Fi. Chiawa does a little different. They just believe that if you go down to the commons area, they want you to not be distracted by all of your electronic things. So they have Wi-Fi in the rooms, but not down in the commons area. So if you want to be on your Wi-Fi, send notes home, talk on the phone, you do that from your room, and you don't disrupt everybody else. So it's kind of a fun way to do it. Lion Camp, the Wi-Fi was at the lodge, and it was very spotty. It's some of these, it's pretty remote. So most people, there's places you just can't send pictures home. You usually get a note out, a message out, and there is. They have more bandwidth, but they keep it for their staff. If there's an emergency, they can get word somewhere, but we try not to have emergencies. So that is Chiawa, Zambia. On that trip, then when we're all done at the end, we get on a plane and just head back to Joburg. We'll leave Puku Ridge, drive to the airport, the small airport, Lusaka. We fly to Lusaka, jump on a plane, go to Joburg, go to the airport there, and wait for our evening flight to come on back home. Another 16, 17 hours on an airplane. So you're about as excited as can be going over, and about as depressed as can be coming home, because you've been out in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and all of a sudden you're back in civilization. And Barb's favorite line to everybody always has been, going to Africa is something that will change your life. It's that special, that unique. And it's changing, and that's kind of the sad part. It's still as magnificent as ever, but our first time there was 1985, and it was pretty rustic, and we were too in our travel skills. And we went again in 90 and 94, and we've been back many times. But there's just more and more people. And that's what you experience when you go to East Africa. And we were in Tanzania and absolutely loved it. But you see an awful lot of animals, and you see an awful lot of tourists, awful lot of people. They've got infrastructure, roads, cell towers everywhere. When you get into Southern Africa, because you've got to get there, most of these camps by plane, it's just so much harder to get to. And it's still, we encourage everybody to watch Out of Africa, or Hatari before you go, because you're gonna see a little bit of Africa like it was in the olden days.
Randy, if I can interject something too,
Yeah.
I think we need to let our audience know that this is a 100% totally customized safari. This is not one of the off-the-shelf safaris that people get, some of the big companies. So we come to you. We partner together. We've done this for a long time. You know the camps you like. You learn about the camps that are new from some of your friends over there. And you don't like anything big, which I think is fabulous. And we do everything as first class as we possibly can. To your point, value is what everybody's looking for, regardless of what the cost of the trip is, and 100% satisfaction. And you and Barb have been able to deliver that for many, many years. And that's the one thing we want everybody to know. And it's just been the weirdest thing this year with all, the whole world is safaring right now. It's it's a cool way to vacation that a lot of people want to do, of all ages, by the way. You can't believe the number of honeymooners that want to go on safari. And this is all over the world. So with all this that happened this past 3 months, all of that has been pushed to next year. And Randy, to your point, people want to go to these places like Botswana and Zambia at this time of the year, don't they?
Yeah, we do pick July. People will ask, why don't you go to Africa in the winter time? Well, to Southern Africa, the weather is perfect. When it starts to get into our fall, it's coming into their spring, and we've been there. We've been there on Labor Day some years, and it is just so bloody hot that it's absolutely miserable. So we backed up and started to go to Southern Africa, leave shortly after the 4th of July, and we've always had it'll be really chilly in the morning and at nights. And I think on our last trip to Botswana, we had a woman that set a record. She had 7 layers of clothes on when we left the camp in the morning, and by the time we came back for lunch, she was down to 1. So every 5 degrees it went up, she took off 1 layer. And but it's very refreshing, clean air. It's just absolutely amazing.
And Randy, you and Barb are such social people also, that one of the things you guys do a great job on, Barb better than you personally, Randy, no offense.
Thank you.
You help break the ice so people get to meet each other. You've got like-minded people going on these safaris with you, and friendships, lifetime friendships are made from these safaris with you, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And we've had a lot of people that have traveled with us many times. And I think we've got a couple that is going to Botswana. They went to Tanzania with us, and they were one of the couples that said, "Where are you going in 2020?" And I think they're looking at signing up for Zambia also. And we love them, and they're great travelers. And I won't tell too many stories, but I think just about every day, looking at all those animals, one of our travelers had tears in her eyes. It was just that kind of an experience, and it's an emotional experience. When we were in Tanzania, one morning we went out. We followed the Great Migration. We literally, this is not an exaggeration, we saw 1 million animals on one morning. We were in amongst the migration of the wildebeest, and we won't see that on this trip, but we always see the animals in a setting, and it's always a surprise. There's no scripted, it's not Disney. We just go out in search and hunting. We're on a safari with cameras and our binoculars, and it's just always really great to see what we see. And we've seen so much. It lures us back every time.
Every time. And your safaris always sell out, and that'll be the case with this one. I mean, unfortunately, and this is what you wanted, so I think this is great. So the early bird gets the worm, but we have the 1 room left for the Botswana trip, and then the 5 rooms is all we have left for Zambia. So if you want information, you can sure get a hold of us on our website, get a hold of us at Cruise Holidays and Comfort Tours, and we'll give you all the detailed information. We've got flyers made up on this, and we can answer any question that you might have. Again, our website is cruiseholidayskc.com. You all will get some information, everybody attending here, that will be the flyer on either of the 2 safaris, or both if you so desire. And we do have that one couple that are going with you on both safaris, so there's more and more.
You'll probably be pressing me to do something in 2022.
I imagine so.
And we also do a little get together when we get people signed up, or we're pretty full and we've got a couples maybe on the edge. We'll have a little get together at the zoo, a little reception, and walk through a little more detail and a chance to ask questions. Usually people have 1,000 questions, and that's what we're here for, and that's what you're there for. That's what you're paying for, is to get your questions asked. We hate surprises, and I mean, you're traveling to the third world, but we really try to take care of people's needs. We picked what we think are the really best camps. We've been there. We know the companies that own them. They're well managed. The food is great. Service is great. And it did pretty much anything you want. If they've got it, you can have it.
Which is exactly right. And Randy and Barb, the other thing I think people, because you're so good, you both are so good at making sure people's expectations are correct. And then when expectations are exceeded, people obviously get really happy with their vacation, and that you have delivered for so many years. The other thing I'd like to say that you do is you do such a good job after the safari of keeping in touch. I know Barb puts a flash drive together and a PowerPoint presentation of the whole experience. So, I mean, these pictures that we're watching right now are pictures you guys took. And I think, I mean, these are real life pictures. These are not Photoshop pictures. These are what you guys took. And there's nothing in the world like seeing animals out in the wild. I know seeing animals in your zoo is great, but seeing animals in the wild is the most special experience anybody could ever have.
It is. It is. So we invite questions, and hope we have some interest, and we look forward to traveling again and seeing what the world has to offer.
Yep, and what a rare opportunity for you to go and experience Africa with Randy Wisthoff, the director of the zoo, and his wife Barb. I can guarantee you a great time and an experience you will never ever forget. So again, for more details, you can call us if you like. We'll get back to you tomorrow. 816 area code 505-1500, 505-1500. And we will, or you can check our website out too, like I said before, cruiseholidayskc.com. But if you have questions, that's what we're here for. We will answer those for you. And I encourage you to take advantage of this. Spend your kids' inheritance and have an experience you'll never forget. Randy and Barb, thank you so much. I think it's just about sundowner time.
It is. I can see the sun setting now. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Nicole.
You. Barb, thank you so much for joining us. Take care of yourself, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We'll do more webinars as time goes on, but this is an experience that very few people get to have, and I encourage you to do that. Of all my great travels, and I've done 150 fabulous experiences all over the world, my 4 safaris are second to none. So you should, I encourage you to go with Randy and Barb. What a rare opportunity. Randy and Barb, thanks so much. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.